Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to another installment of Touchline Talk, the weekly show every single week at 11 a.m. on a Wednesday. So if you weren't aware of that fact, you are now. So make sure to join me every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. if indeed you do want to get involved in these shows live. If you weren't able to join live, in the comments, if you're watching back on the replay, please let me know in the chat. Give me some feedback. Would you like to see two shows in the week, two solo shows, maybe like on a Friday evening at 7 p.m. in case you want to catch these live, because I know some people obviously work 9 to 5s and they aren't able to tune into these live. I'm muted, apparently. I don't think so. Hello, Mad Dog. Big up to Cerebral Palsy from Australia. I'm indeed slightly late. Apologies for that, Liam. We've got Rob as well. Hello, Rob, who I know is a Man United fan. We've got Saud, who says Man City need to win. Yeah, IFL is saying that I am muted, but I'm certainly not. Aisha says, happy to see you online, happy to see you here as well. Thank you guys for joining me. As you guys know, Touchline Talk, the point of these shows, it is a conversational show. I want this to be a back and forth between you guys. So I've got some topics that I want to touch on. However, for the most part, after I've touched on those topics, in the main, what I want it to do is, as I say, is a back and forth Q&A sort of style show. It doesn't just have to be about City, by the way. It can be about any other club. It can be about anything that's happened in the week. But you'll notice a couple of topics on the title of this stream. Man City's criticism after the recent Arsenal game. We touched on it a little bit in the Arsenal-Man City post-mortem, but I might want to touch on it a little bit more, because I do think it is a bit odd how that game is being framed by the majority of people who've subsequently analysed it. Nearly every single analysis video I've seen on it has gone, how Arsenal were brilliant defensively and now they stunned Man City, and that's fine, but I do think that there is a big side of the story which isn't really being spoken about, which we touched on in the post-mortem. We're also going to talk about Kevin De Bruyne. You'll notice he's in the thumbnail. Hopefully you like the thumbnail. It's a weird split face of me and Kevin. We'll be talking about him and how his bad performances in recent weeks aren't necessarily being spoken about as much as maybe they should be. What is the solution to that, if indeed there is one? Could there be an alternative? There was also a debate I saw online yesterday about Pep versus Fergie, you know, that classic situation. So I think I want to touch on that. But again, the main theme of this is for it to be a sort of Q&A vibe. So I want you guys to get involved in the chat. Well, I did. That's the thing, Liam. I changed the color scheme quite a lot to make the hair match, because the hair didn't match. I had to quite significantly do some HDR toning for that to happen. We used to do quiz shows a lot, Puneet. So maybe we'll bring those back. Who knows? Of course, Man City play tonight against Aston Villa. So maybe we can talk about the Aston Villa game as well and the impact on the title race. Super City says it's going to be 2-0 to City. I'm guessing that's in reference to tonight. City's defence was more impressive. Arsenal fans do as they overhand themselves. I think I say City ultimate bottlers on one stream. GR says thoughts on a 3-5-2 next season if City invest in wing backs. And maybe that's a good place to start. Maybe we should start with a chat on the sort of under the background or the backdrop of the Arsenal game. Now obviously Arsenal defended very well. Of course they did, and that's been stated. I would say it's been stated a little bit too much. And I think that if one is true, then the other is also true. Because Manchester City also defended incredibly well. And if anything, they defended better. Just because they had a lot of the ball doesn't mean they didn't defend simultaneously. I would argue that the best form of defense is actually having the ball and retaining the ball. and not giving up as many dangerous counterattacks. And sure, we did that a couple of times, but for the most part, we kept Arsenal, who are a very, they're an in-possession side. We kept them at bay from a defensive standpoint. So I appreciate that the narrative will always be, if City drop points whenever, the narrative will always be the other team did something right and City did something wrong. And you take that medicine when you are the general better side, but it's harder to defend when you have the ball than when you don't, if that makes sense. It's harder to attack than it is to defend, and it's harder to defend by virtue of attack rather than the other way around. People need to remember that football is a low-scoring game. Therefore, it is much easier to defend than it is to attack. So I appreciate people going, Arsenal brilliant defensively and City were blunt going forwards. And I actually, I agree with that. But I do think we need to sort of reel in the praise and criticism for both parties. I think that, City do deserve some criticism for not attacking with enough energy and impact. But simultaneously, they did keep Arsenal at bay, and they should be applauded for the defensive work. Conversely, Arsenal, sure, praise them for the defensive work, but it's easy to defend in football. It's particularly easy to defend if you play with a back six at times. Again, football's a low-scoring sport. In the same way that, Liam will know this, I've recently got into basketball. It's a lot easier to... It's because it's the opposite in basketball, because it's a high-scoring sport. Therefore, it's easier to attack than it is to defend. In basketball, it's the opposite for football because it's a low-scoring sport. So I don't know how much praise I can give a team for being good at being organised. Again, I did praise them, but I think that's got to be tempered a little bit. So that's my thought on the Man City criticism, and the fact that, again, every single analysis video is titled how Arsenal's brilliant defence was unbelievable. It's the best thing I've ever seen. And it's like, again, I appreciate the sentiment, but it does need to be... I'm going to push back on it a little bit. I'm totally happy to give Arsenal their defensive credit, but I do feel like it's going a little bit too far. People acting like it was the greatest defensive masterclass of the ages. Again, Arsenal did not want to defend that deeply. We forced them to defend that deeply. So surely the credit should go to City in that respect. That would be my sort of thoughts on that. IFL says Pep beat Fergie's $1 billion squad twice. Yeah, I definitely want to touch on that today as well. Liam says you lose or draw. Oh no, yeah, Liam, we've got to be perfect. Outside of Liverpool and Arsenal dropping points, City now have to be perfect 100% for me. So there is no doubt about that. Yeah, apparently there is no Watkins, no Ramsey, and most importantly, there is no John McGinn, who was man of the match again at Villa Park. No John McGinn, he is suspended. So that's 3 pretty crucial players for Aston Villa, and we really should be looking to beat them not with ease, but given that injury situation for them, some of their key players being out. Yeah, we need to try to win by more than 1 goal, definitely, just for the sake of goal difference as well. A Haaland hat-trick, he needs it. That's correct, Rob. Who's the 2 at the front for the 3-5-2? Yeah, maybe we'll chat about that next. KDB needs to find his passing quicker. Haaland needs to move towards the ball, being passed in front of defenders. Waiting will not cut it. And maybe we can touch on Kevin De Bruyne next. 11 men behind the ball. How impressive City had to prevent counterattacks. Yeah, and that is definitely, again, that is harder. I'll repeat. It's easy in relative terms. Defending is easy in football. Is it harder to stop chances, or is it harder to create and score chances? I hope we all know the hardest thing to do in football is to create and score goals rather than prevent goals. Again, it's easy to be organised and be hard to break down and to be disciplined. It's very hard to be creative and expressive and to break down opposition low blocks. So, of course, praise a good defensive side, but let's not go overboard and act like it's the hardest task, and it's some of this Herculean task. Gabriel Saliba bullying without giving away fouls is overhyped. if refs were consistent, Gabriel's a National League player. I guess this is something I didn't really talk about in the post-mortem the other day, because I don't like to talk about refereeing decisions because they're largely it's largely boring to talk about referees. That I don't really see the value in it. But I'll touch on it now because Liam brings up a very good point here. The referee was bad in the Arsenal-Man City game. Bad. There is letting a game flow, and then there is just missing obvious, blatant tactical fouls and yellow cards. Arsenal got 2 bookings in that game, neither of which were for fouls, when at least 3 of their players should have been booked, as should Bernardo Silva. Bernardo Silva tugged back Ødegaard in like a clear tactical foul on the halfway line. That should have been a yellow card. But Gabriel was all over Haaland in that game. I think he picked up at least 3 fouls. So by virtue of a tossing up process alone, that should have been a yellow card. Ødegaard committed at least 3 fouls which were worthy of a yellow card. He should have been booked. Declan Rice should have been booked. I think there was a moment where Saliba should have been booked. There was one moment where Arsenal committed 3 fouls in one phase of play, 2 of which were on Jorginho. I would have argued both of them could have been worthy of yellow cards. So you'll notice that a lot of defensive players for Arsenal there. Ødegaard, who was like one of their main pressers, obviously Declan Rice, obviously Jorginho, obviously Gabriel. And you look at that and you go, well, it was the same for City, so you can't really complain. And yes, Bernardo Silva also should have been booked. But is it more important for the defensive side to have players booked or the offensive side? Obviously, the defensive side. Because if Gabriel is booked in that first half, when he should have been booked, as we know with like Jorginho, Gabriel, etc., and Rice and Ødegaard, it means they can't do that again. So Ødegaard, we'll take that as the example. 3 times at least he pressed us high and fouled us, and at least one of them should have been a yellow card. Now, if you're booked, it means you can't do that as much, and therefore you have to back off a little bit. In the same way, like with Gabriel versus Haaland, he was very aggressive throughout the entire 90 minutes against Haaland. It was a very good battle. I think that Gabriel probably just about edged it, 60-40 or 70-30, whatever. But Gabriel fouled Haaland a lot. Now, if Gabriel is booked in that first half, as he should have been, is he anywhere near as aggressive in the second half? No, of course he isn't, because he doesn't want to get sent off. Therefore, that means that Haaland is going to be afforded more space. Therefore, he's going to find it easier to win those duels. Therefore, City find more joy going forwards. So it's all well and good saying, well, it was a free-flowing game for both sides. But it clearly benefited one team compared to the other. So that was a little slight annoyance that I had in that game. I'm not saying that it changed the result. I'm not saying anything like that. But it was incredibly frustrating to watch. Especially as a fan of the stadium. I don't understand it when referees arbitrarily decide, oh yeah, I'm going to let this game flow. Surely refereeing should be constant. And if it's a foul, it's a foul. If it's a yellow, it's a yellow. It was a very unusual decision by them to decide this is the game where it's going to be incredibly free-flowing and we're just not going to give clear yellows for clear yellows. Again, that clearly advantages one team compared to the other. I just think that's wrong, to be fair. I thought I did quite good the other day not really talking about that. But yeah, Liam just reminded me of it then. Guess Arsenal lacked that risk taker we need to try to pass where the danger was 100%. Hello, Strasbourg. Steve, I'm really good. Thank you, matey. Villa will be a tough game. It will be tough, yeah, but we've absolutely got to win it. And yeah, Liam makes a good point. We need to draw 3 to 4 games if you drop points? Yes, look, we're not. We have to win. We had to win against Arsenal, in my opinion. If we win all of our games now until the end of the season, then we have to hope that Liverpool lose. And there's a big goal difference swing in our favour. Unlikely. Liverpool play Sheffield United. Or we have to hope that Liverpool drop points in 2 games. So draw twice. So if we draw today, then they're going to have to draw a third of their remaining games. And you might as well just say that's lights out. There's no way Liverpool are going to do that. There's no way they're going to drop points in a third of their remaining games from now to the end of the season. It would be insane. So, yeah, every single game now for City is must win, at least until Arsenal/Liverpool drop enough points for that to not be the case. If City don't win the title at the end of the season, people are going to talk about how City lost the title rather about the team that won. And that is the case with when you are City, to be fair. Guys, if you're enjoying the stream, please make sure to leave a like on the stream, so I know you guys want to see more of these streams. I've not seen the documentary yet, Steve, but I want to watch it with my mum. So I go around to my parents' house like once a week, so I'll probably watch it over the next few weeks. I'm not in a rush. I know the spoilers. I know we win the treble, so I'm not in a rush to watch it. Why can't we just go back for a back four to stop leaking goals? I mean, we play a back four. We play back four out of possession. In terms of like why don't we play one in possession? It's because if you play a back four with the ball, then you are not going to have that midfield superiority which Pep is desperate for and which City are desperate for. You know, that's how he won the treble with that box four midfield. So you need to play back three with the ball. That's not an issue. That's not an issue at all. Someone earlier said, could we play a 3-5-2? Not sure that's ideal. I think that the key, clearly, as we saw again in the Arsenal game, and again we chatted about it at length, and it's really informing my transfer thoughts. It's really informing my transfer thoughts. Here's my thought process on the transfer window which just transpired and the transfer window which is to come. We were desperate to sign Declan Rice, Jude Bellingham, that sort of player. Declan Rice was the one we seemed to be most in for because we actually submitted a bid. And when I saw people sort of like starting 11s, I was confused as to how Declan Rice fit in the current system. Because people were putting him, next to Rodri. So if you think of the 3-2 build-up, the three centre-backs, and normally it's Rodri Stones, people were putting him where Stones was. And I was like, so what's the shape like out of possession? Because is Declan Rice going to go to right back or centre back? Doesn't seem to make sense. And I was trying to figure it out. And then it sort of clicked when, after the first game of the season at home this season, when Walker went to right wing. And I was like, so Pep wants a defender to go out wide. And then when you think about why was Pep so desperate to keep Walker? Why was he so desperate to get a Bellingham, a Rice? And you realise that, that's the next stage in his evolution. So we started with the 3-2 being the centre-back going into midfield, the John Stones role. Is the next stage for a defender to go out wide, the Walker role, which we've seen this season? Is that what he wants to see next? And that makes so much sense when you think about, again, the sort of player that we were looking at. Bellingham, Rice, Paquetá, these brilliant space eaters. That just means someone who can cover ground quickly, because they got long legs generally. And also fantastic duel winners. Someone who can cover for Rodri and mitigate his biggest weakness. What is Rodri's biggest weakness? It's covering ground. It's being caught in counterattacks. What's Declan Rice's biggest strength? It probably is that. It's stopping counterattacks. And then you realise, that's why he was so desperate to keep Walker. Maybe because he wanted to trial it before splashing out, 70 million on a new fullback. He wanted to try it with Walker first of all. Obviously, the John Stones injuries have sort of aggravated that situation. So now it puts us in a situation where, as we've seen this season, and as we saw most notably against Arsenal, we are playing that system where a defender goes out wide, but we don't have an attacking defender. We don't have someone who's very good at crossing in our defensive in any of our defensive depth. We've got Gvardiol as probably our best option there, who is a centre back. So of course he's not going to be that good at crossing. He's going to get into those areas, and we saw against Arsenal, he got to some very good areas, but Arsenal were happy for him to get into those areas. So the solution clearly is to get an offensive fullback who is dangerous at crossing and dangerous in those areas, because then the opposition can't just go, yeah, leave him. If, let's say, we had who's a really good crosser of the ball, doesn't matter which side. Really extreme example. If we had Trent Alexander-Arnold and we played him in that Walker role, Trent's like, the best attacking fullback in the world, obviously. Do you really think they're going to leave him alone? And just to like fire in those crosses all day, every day, and go into the half space and create? Of course not. You're going to have to press him. You can't just afford him all that space. So if you do that, so not only does it create an offensive outlet, it also means that you're creating space for everyone else, rather than having a pretty blunt player where the opposition don't really care about him out there. So that is clearly the next evolution in this City team. Pep's identified that. Now, whether he wants to play that because he wants that to be the natural evolution, or whether he just sees John Stones as too injury prone to be reliant on across the season, as we've demonstrated this season, then it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter which path was taken. What matters is the destination. And the destination, as clearly demonstrated, in my opinion, of that transfer window last summer, trying to get that midfielder, ultimately getting Gvardiol, who can do that, ultimately keeping Kyle Walker, who the idea was he could do that. Spoilers, he can't. And then subsequently, the fact we've seen it so much we must have seen that system more this season than the John Stones system. I'm pretty convinced of that, given how injured he's been. So I really hope that this summer we go all out on an elite attacking fullback. Whoever that might be. Whether it's Hernandez, DeMarco, Grimaldo, I think he's called for Leverkusen, and Frimpong. Whoever it is, I've got my own personal favourite. We've got to remember, it can't just be a floaty, attack-heavy defender, attacking defender. It's also got to be someone who's very capable of winning their duels, because Pep's spoken about how much he loves defenders who can win their duels. That's why there were 8 centre-backs in the Man City versus Arsenal game, because we're now at a stage in football evolution and tactics where winning your duels out wide is a necessity. So it can't be someone like, lots of people said Frimpong, for example. I don't know how comfortable I'd be with that as an option. It's got to be... Annoyingly, I know who the ideal left-sided candidate. I was thinking about it last night. Who's the best right-sided candidate? And annoyingly, the answer is Gusto. I'm pretty sure Gusto or Reece James. Well, I don't think we're getting either of them. I don't think Chelsea are going to relinquish either of them. I don't know if we go for Reece James due to the injury situations. But in an ideal world, Gusto would be perfect. Really solid defensively, unbelievable going forwards, not a liability in his duels, and fantastic at crossing and progressing the ball at the pitch. I think that would be the ideal right back. I just don't know whether that's realistic. I doubt it is. He's only just joined Chelsea, and he's got a contract until about 32-87. So it's probably not going to happen. But that's an interesting question, and I'll touch more on that in my analysis video in the summer when it comes to who I want to bring in and such, and why we need to bring them in. But from now until the end of the season, we need to figure out a way to get our wingers out wide rather than a defender out wide. When your main width is coming, when your main attacking thrust out wide is coming from Gvardiol and Akanji, not even Walker, Akanji and Gvardiol, you are not going to create anything out wide, essentially. So we need to figure out a system which helps us do that. I would suggest we do the 2-3-5, which doesn't play the fullbacks out wide. It just plays... This is assuming John Stones' injury, by the way. if we're not comfortable playing Rico Lewis or Akanji in the Stones role, and I honestly think at this point, just let Rico Lewis cook. He was fantastic against Arsenal. Just give him the keys whilst John Stones is out. But if we're not willing to do that, then the 2-3 shape where the fullbacks go to the midfield and the wingers stay out wide might be the solution. I'm not moaning. I wasn't moaning about tactical fouls, Cosmic. I was just making the point. No. I was making the point that tactical fouls should be punished. And ours often are. Again, I said the Bernardo one should have been. Wasn't using that as an excuse. I was just saying it was frustrating. And again, it's more needed for the defensive side to get bookings. It's less relevant for the offensive side to get bookings for those reasons I outlined earlier. Yeah, and that just leads into the whole Haaland situation. I totally agree. And that could be a whole separate video. I mean, we touched on it a lot a few days ago, how the weird Haaland criticism. I hopefully explained it as best as I can. Why is De Bruyne getting a lot of criticism for his poor recent performances? He does more than Haaland. Who color? I agree, and don't worry, we will touch on Kevin De Bruyne in this stream. Our fullbacks can't really go forward, and they can't when they're centre backs. Exactly. We need fullbacks. You know, guys, we haven't had a proper, like, fit left back since Alexander Kolarov. And he left City in 2017. That's 7 years ago. 7 years ago. Mendy was supposed to be that guy. Sadly, he got injured and then a load of off-pitch stuff. So, yeah. In that period, we've had Mendy, who, as I say, got injured and was never the player again. Sadly, he was a brilliant signing. Sadly, he got injured and was never the same player again. We've had Delph, who's a midfielder. Zinchenko, who's a midfielder. Cancelo, who's a right-back. Now with Ake, who's a centre-back. Gvardiol, a centre-back. We haven't had a proper left-back since Kolarov, which is crazy. We need to create better and finish better. Finishing's definitely the biggest one for me. We don't need Declan Rice. It's win more, purchase, not pragmatic. No, but the point of that signing was for me, was to allow for this system where, because the main weakness with that system, outside of a defender being one of your attackers, but that's not a weakness if the defender's good at attacking. The main weakness with that system is if you got a defender pushed really far forwards, it means that on a counter-attack, you're vulnerable. So therefore, it's essential to have someone like Declan Rice in that midfield. As I say, someone who can cover a lot of ground and win their duels very easily, someone who's defensively switched on. That's why I think that signing was... That's why I think Pep was desperate for a player of his ilk. De Bruyne ran out of gas. Age no longer on his side. Don't know why people are judging him based on this current meeting. De Bruyne's been like that old ties with Arsenal. His crossing's normally been pinpoint, hasn't it? He's not been on it in that respect. He's not been good the past couple of games. Are there any players from Villa that you'd want at City? In terms of like improving Villa have a lot of good players, but in terms of like improving our starting 11, I'm not convinced. I like a lot of Villa players, but I'm not sure that they would be ideal for our system. We need Cancelo back. Nah, Cancelo's done. He is done. KB looks a bit old. He can't do box-to-box anymore. And he hasn't for a while. But he doesn't need to. He doesn't need to be fair. But what I would like to maybe see with De Bruyne is, we haven't, since his Newcastle game, we haven't really seen him used in the same way, where he was cropping up everywhere and he was just allowed this sort of free role. Like, I want to see him in those deeper positions. Like if you think about how he created that Oscar Bob goal, that came from a really deep central area, where his like penetrative long passing can just open up a defense at any moment, especially against teams that low block like Arsenal did against us. I'd like to see that a bit more. De Bruyne drops a little bit deeper. I think that could be really interesting. Cancelo isn't that good out wide. And that's another good point, Paolo. Not only is Cancelo finished at this club, not only is he a crybaby, not only is he a toxic personality, Cancelo is not a wide fullback, in my opinion. Certainly when he was at City, his best work came when he inverted into the centre. He's a playmaker rather than this sort of like, all-phase attacking fullback who wants to go out wide and whip across him. Like, do you remember that game against Chelsea? I think it was in the Cup in December, the season he left, when he was played as basically a right winger. So it was a perfect opportunity for him to be that attacking player and like just like get crosses in. He just couldn't do it. I don't think he's that guy. Oh, that seems to be getting hammering though, Liam. Oh, it could be another disappointment. Again, I don't think it's a loss. Personally, I think ultimately he turned into a net negative by virtue of his attitude problems. Received James is always on the table. The issue of him is obviously going to be the injury situation. Yeah, guys, if you're enjoying the video, please hit a like. Please hit the like button. So we've got over 100 people watching, which is fantastic. That seems to be the general average for these morning shows, which is fantastic stuff to see. If you leave a like, that helps other people see the channel. That helps us grow and get a bigger audience and community. Again, if you're watching back on the replay, would you like to see maybe 2 solo shows a week, one in the evening on, say, a Friday at 7 p.m, just so that you can get involved in it live if you have like a standard 9-to-5 job? He was indeed TG. Those first few games for City before his injury were sensational. Like, he was getting assists left, right, and centre. Pretty sure he was leading the assist chart at one point, and then the injury happened and he was never the same player. Thoughts about the Villa game? Yes, so it's a must-win. Watkins is out, Ramsey is out, McGinn is suspended. I don't know the Stones situation. He might not be fully fit, but we cannot slip up anymore. In my opinion, that the title's basically already over. In my head, I've written it off. Obviously, never say never, but in my head, I've written it off. I'm looking at the Champions League and the FA Cup now. I don't see us winning 9 in a row. I don't see that happening, and Liverpool and Arsenal dropping the requisite amount of points. Never say never, but in my head, I've written it off. Haaland has no space to find. We don't have a near-post runner at last centre-halves to double down on Haaland. Yeah, and here's the thing. If the defenders are doubling down on Haaland, what does that mean? It means there must be space somewhere else on the pitch. So that means Haaland's doing his job. I just wish people would watch the game through that lens, rather than just go, he can't hold up play or link up, and his passing's bad. It's really reductive, bad analysis. Yes, and just on bad analysis, that Roy Keane comment, I know he's being hyperbolic, I know he wants a soundbite, but that's really, the word's not detrimental. I'm trying to say, because he's got a lot of influence in the game, it's reckless. That's the word. It's a reckless thing to say, because people will take him at face value and they'll go, oh, yeah, he's like a League 2 player. He's not, though, is he? Like, come on, man. It's just boring. False 9, no. No, there is a reason why we've moved away from that. People have this weird sort of nostalgia for the false 9 era at City. And people have this idea that false 9 football is better than 9 football. If that was the case, then the 3 best teams in the country wouldn't be fielding a striker who's over 6 foot. False 9 football is not optimal. Otherwise, Pep would have ditched strikers long ago. Otherwise, he wouldn't have signed Haaland. Do you guys not remember the amount of missed chances in that period? The amount of games that cost us in that period, in those 2 years. It was not optimal by any means. It was like pretty and interesting to watch, but ultimately systems with strikers are infinitely superior to systems without them, and it's not even a conversation to be had, to be honest. Again, like, otherwise Klopp would have sought out a replacement for Firmino, and otherwise, like, City never would have touched Haaland, and Liverpool would have never touched Núñez, and Arteta would have never touched Havertz. But all these managers did, because, again, they know that you need a striker if you want to be the best version of yourself. Adrian Truffer at Rennes, says Strasbourg Steve. Maybe going back to League is the one, but we certainly need to bring in one of them. And for me, we need to go all out. That should be one of our biggest signings. An attack. I tweeted about it. We should be splashing the cash on Bruno Guimaraes, £100 million to clause. We should be splashing the cash on Paquetá, I think £85 million release clause. But we need to be splashing a similar amount on a fullback. We need to go in hard. We need like 3 starters in this summer. I think that is around what we will be getting, definitely. Peroni, I don't know what future Peroni has, to be honest. I don't know what sort of player he is, to be honest. Gomez serves some game time. I can't see. I don't think. He isn't offering enough going forwards, and he's bad defensively. You freak. No midfielders arrive late into the box. Foden does. He just needs to be found, I suppose. I don't even know what that means, but Toby, but thank you, mate. I do see you in 9 out of 9. I don't personally. What's more realistic, a squad overhaul or a change in the system? Squad overhaul. And by overhaul, what I mean is, you know, because when I say like we're going to sign like, I think we're going to sign 4 to 5 players, 3 of which will be like, at least 3 would be like starters. People go, and I say midfielders, people go, that's a lot of midfielders, isn't it? But you've got to remember, Phillips will be going. Kovacic isn't here for the long term. Bernardo's going to be leaving. We haven't replaced Gundogan. De Bruyne is not going to be here in the long term, and his creative output's going to need replacing. So we do need a lot of midfielders, to be honest, not only in the short term but also in the long term. So it's a thing. Yeah, Ivan, that's just false. False, and that's nice profile picture change, Liam. False 9 football died when Liverpool signed Jota. Toby, who is an Arsenal fan, says, the performance against you gives me hope for the future European endeavours. Arteta's finally played a game. We've been comfortable with a different model. Yes, and that is very big Champions League football, 100%. Needs to have its not out-and-out strikers to move along the front line. Yeah, but they are 9s, though. They are 9s, aren't they? They are strikers. Theo's a guy. I'd love Theo. He'd also be interesting, Strasbourg Steve, but my dream signing would be Theo. Thank you, Tayab. Last time I played Villa, we got cooked. Bob was good in the game. Bob was very good when he came on. The main reason we got cooked, Villa were unbelievable in that game. Fantastic. I made an analysis video on it, praising them and saying how unreal they were. But at the same time, we didn't play any midfielders in midfield. We played... I think we played Stones... Lewis, Alvarez, and I can't remember the other player. But did we play a Kanji? I'm pretty sure we didn't play a midfielder in midfield, basically. It was ridiculous. I know we didn't have Rodri, but I'm pretty sure Nunes was on the bench. So and we had Foden on the pitch. We just had to shunt him out wide rather than playing in midfield. So it was a weird game in that respect, where there's no control on the pitch. It'd be sad to see Bruno leaving Newcastle, but I'll take the fat sum of cash and invest in squad. Yeah, if we could please have Bruno, Steve, that'd be great. £100 million, that's a fair deal. That's a fair deal. But we do need him. I'm pretty convinced of that. Bruno is the Gundogan replacement in respect of utility. We need an 8 who can play at 6. Bruno's not a defensive midfielder, but he can play there very, very well. In the same way that Gundogan was not a defensive midfielder, he can play there very, very well. That's what we need in Bruno. And we also need him to be able to fill in at 8 when needed. We need him to be able to replace Rodri when needed. We need him to be able to cover for Rodri when needed. And we need, we just need Paquetá. Keane had 12 reds in his career. He got his He got his 13 red card statement. Brilliant. Thomas going very well. How's it going for you, mate? Listen to Baby Nobbins, guys. Leave a like on the video. Otherwise, you are a fraud. I agree. It was a Kanji. There we go. Yeah, absolutely terrible team. Ram team. What's Oscar Bob's best position? He's definitely a midfielder. He is a pocket player. He is like Phil Foden in that respect. He's a very versatile player, so he can play out wide. He's not going to get too many minutes centrally because of how stacked we are centrally. But that is, for me, that's definitely his best position in the middle, in that sort of like 8-10 position. But he's fantastic out wide as well. So if you play him as a false winger as well, that's a really good utilization of him. Liverpool are underrated. They're a better team than City. They definitely are this season, 100%. I don't think the individual players are better, but we've just not performed to the levels I know that we can perform this season. And I put nearly all of that down to the manager. I've spoken about that at length before. What's the ideal summer window? Yes, so that's definitely 2. And I don't want to reveal. I know I've basically revealed like a lot of them now, but I want to cover it all in a summer transfer window. Yeah, just give me Bruno. Give me him. 1, we're not going to get Verts. And 2, no. If you guys get Bruno, definitely Paquetá. It's got to be Paquetá. We wanted him for a reason. He's not the same player as Verts or Musiala. Verts and Musiala are short space players. Paquetá's a long space player. I don't know if anyone watched the England-Brazil game. Do you guys see how brilliant he was at creating from distance? Those through balls are unbelievable. Can you imagine Paquetá picking up from a slightly deeper position and Haaland running in? Oh. Mate, fantastic at winning duels. Can sit alongside Rodri, out of possession. Introduces defensive solidity. He's the... I said how Bruno was the Gundogan replacement in respect of utility. Paquetá's also a little bit of that because he can play like 4 different positions, but he's the replacement in respect of the output as well. Big up to you, AK. Imagine if Liverpool draw. Yeah, that is going to be like 7-0. Believe you me. How do you solve the Alvarez problem? Can he ever truly be a starter as long as Haaland is here? Not for me. No, he's a striker and he should be a striker, and I don't ever want to see him in midfield ever again. Second striker if you want to play him and Haaland, but you should only be playing that against teams which you're going to batter, and where it doesn't matter about controlling the midfield as much because you control it by definition. So yeah. That would be naughty. That would be very, very naughty. I don't know if you necessarily need them all on the pitch at the same time, but if you did, that'd be crazy. I think we'd beat Villa 2-1, even though Villa aren't at their best. They'll still be tough if we don't get a result. Yeah, we've got to beat them. We've got to beat them and try to beat them convincingly as well. The Kimmich deal doesn't go through. Who do you think we should go for in the summer? I don't really want Kimmich. I want, as I said, in terms of my midfielders, I've touched on Bruno. I've touched on Paquetá. I don't really want Kimmich, to be honest. Any good attacking fullback at this point, to be honest, mate, who can also defend. Why am I writing off Verts? Because he's staying in Leverkusen. And again, if we sign Verts, that's a mistake because we don't need Verts. Because no. It's not about who is better. That's irrelevant. You need to understand. We don't need a small space player. Stop suggesting small space players, please. People need to stop suggesting Verts and Musiala. We need Paquetá. We need someone who can create over longer distances. We don't need more pockets players. We don't. Small space, no. Big space, yes. Small space, no. Big space, yes. Sorry. Small space, no. Big space, yes. Stop suggesting Verts. Stop suggesting Musiala. We do not need that profile of player. No, we don't. I don't know how many times I need to say it. We don't need pocket players. We have plenty at the club. I tell you what, we don't have enough long space players. That's a massive reason why we've struggled this season. That's what Paquetá is. That is what we need. It would be a waste to sign Verts. It would make no sense. It would make no sense. And again, he's not leaving Leverkusen anyway. I understand Verts is a nice shiny toy, but we need to understand what the squad actually needs. And if you think that we need another pocket player, then I don't know what to tell you. I do not know what to tell you. But outside of the fact that it's wrong. Was long space player someone who so if a short space player is someone who is Verts, someone who is Foden, someone who operates best in the pockets, in small spaces, that's what I mean. Conversely, a long space player, or maybe I should say big space. I guess I'm saying long space because I'm thinking about creating from distance, hence I want to think about it in distance rather than... I want to think about it in length rather than volume, if that makes sense. Whereas so that's short space, whereas long space, think of De Bruyne, think of Paquetá. Another slight small space or short space player, David Silva. Very intelligent little pocket player. But again, long space, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Long space player. Someone who's really good at creating from distance or over distance. Basically, think about players who are more associated with long passes than short and in the pockets. And that's what Verts is. Verts is best utilized as a pocket player. That is what he is. That's what Foden is. That's what David Silva was. And again, think of the opposite of that. It's your De Bruynes, it's your Trents, it's your Paquetás. Now, that doesn't mean that players can't do both. David Silva, for example, could do both. But if there's one emphasis to another, then there is a clear bias in that respect. And City are lacking the long space players. We have plenty of short ones. We don't need to worry about that. This is why people are suggesting short space players. I don't understand what they're talking about, to be honest. We need a totally different profile. That's what Paquetá is. That's why we need him. So yeah. Hopefully that makes sense. That sums it up perfectly. This isn't FIFA where you just throw in all the best players. This is a squad building exercise where you need to think about, what do we have? What do we therefore need? What do we have? What do we not have? What do we lack? What do we need to purchase? That is the question that needs to be asked, not what is a shiny toy and what could be an interesting purchase and who is a good player. Do they actually fit the squad? That's the question. That is the question. Docker on the right in the future, 100%. Yeah, and being very simplistic. There's it's not entirely one or the other. Again, David Silva can do both. You know, De Bruyne can do both. I'm just talking about it from an which would you associate with these players more so. And of course there are players who can do everything, and those are the best players. Paquetá can do everything. He's an all-phase player. Gundogan could do everything. All-phase midfielder. So therefore an all-space midfielder. Hopefully that makes sense. Hopefully I explained it well. Toby, stop it. Oh dear. Thoughts on the Haaland Rondo video? I don't know what that means. What was the last time we didn't score at home? Southampton, 3 years ago. In the Premier League, anyway. In other competitions, it's happened a couple of times. Like, we didn't score against Sporting in the second leg in the Champions League when we won 5-0 like a couple of seasons ago. But in the Premier League, Southampton in 2021, I believe. We don't have enough. All of our new ones. Bar maybe Maka. Yeah, exactly. I've no idea if I've coined that phrase, by the way. Maybe I've seen it on Twitter and I'm just sort of I've adapted it, but I'm pretty sure I won't have invented that term. Maybe I should be saying small space. I don't know. I just prefer to say short and long. I don't know. Sometimes, again, I doubt I've invented it. If I have coined it, sometimes you do need to coin new phrases in an ever-changing landscape. KDB going anywhere, we just need another creative outlet. Paquetá fits perfectly. And he's not going anywhere short-term, but again, long-term he is. Is De Bruyne going to be in here in 2 years? If he is he going to be playing nearly as many minutes as he is now? No. How old's De Bruyne? Well, he's in his early 30s, so he'd be in his mid-30s. He's getting these injuries more so. He's going to need more rest more frequently. So we do need to also have an eye of long-term replacing him. And in that respect, that's what Paquetá is. What do you think about Nunes? Do you think he has a place in the 11? Yeah, the Nunes one is interesting. I'm not 100% sure on where Nunes fits in, to be fair. Maybe in a utility sense, because he can play out wide and he can play. People have suggested he can play at fullback as well, so that might have to be his future. Because in midfield, it's if we get these players who I do want, I do struggle to see where he fits. I don't agree, Stephen. Again, you've got to remember it's not one or the other. Maybe I've oversimplified it there, but in respect of what are they most associated with, Wirtz is a pocket player, or fundamentally and ultimately, that's what he is. He is not Kevin De Bruyne. If it's a spectrum and we've got short over here and long over here, Wirtz is closer to here than he is over here. Paquetá is closer to here than he is over here. Don't think about it as binary. It's not black and white. It's not one or the other. It is a spectrum. Yes, some people can do all of it. Some people bang in the middle. But there we go. KDB might not be going anywhere, but his output post first couple of weeks back from injury is worrying. Though, yeah, I agree. He might just need like a reset and a rest, or as I say, he might need to drop a little bit deeper. Yeah, again, Septic, you are bordering on rattling and annoying me at this point. I don't know how many times I literally just explained the spectrum. I said it's not one or the other outright, but clearly he's weighted more to one side than the other. We don't need this. We need this. Please stop. This is so exasperating. I don't know how many times I can explain myself without coming across as a lunatic, to be honest. Hello, Piplup. Don't worry at all, mate. How are you doing? Bruno G is the one. Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I've not. Holland was doing a runner training drill and he was shit at it. Oh no. I don't know how I'm going to cope. Palace 2-0 against who, Abdi? Hopefully not us. Thank you, Septic. Good lord. Because I was just gonna, my brain was going to explode. You can't indeed, Toby. That is the issue, I suppose. KDB's good. Oh, sorry. KDB is good. He was out due to injury. Hope he can get some game rhythm soon. Yes. Yes. We if there's any chance of City winning the title, then it's one of, we need our best players performing, and he's not been performing in recent games. It might come to the point where we need to consider using him less to make him fresher, and maybe even use him more so as in the Newcastle game, where he comes on for the last 30 minutes and he changes the game. Maybe that's what we need to do. I touched on it before. I maybe like to see him maybe dropped a little bit deeper. I'd maybe also like to see him. I'd maybe like to see him genuinely just shoved out wide sometimes. Against Arsenal, he wasn't really doing anything outside of trying to cross the ball. If we're going to do that, then just shove him out wide and just be like, right, every time you get the ball, just pump it in and see what happens. Either get Haaland to win it or win second balls, maybe. Because at this moment in time, when it matters most, it's not optimal, is it? It's not optimal. Phone isn't a big game player. I'm not sure about that one, Destiny. Bruno G and Paquetá will be good signings, both Premier League proven. They are both fantastic players, both profiles we need as well. Someone's a very short space plays. Odegaard never plays as long passes in behind. Says, well, yeah, that's a good example. Again, Odegaard can do it, and he has done it, but that's not what you would associate him mostly with. Mainu, guys, you know how much I love Kobbie Mainu. I trailblazer. Before Southgate played him and started him for England, I said in my Guardiola analysis video for England, he should start. So, you know, I'm claiming that. Yeah, we've got to replace Bernardo. Yeah. In my head, this is in my head. And Eldest is collecting cards. Shout out Yu-Gi-Oh, by the way. I love Yu-Gi-Oh. I know people saying that, you know, we're collecting too many midfielders, but again, think of the outgoings. Think of the players who will probably be going in the summer, either on loan or full sale. Sergio Gomez, Cancelo, Calvin Phillips, Bernardo Silva. Long term, staying but won't be here for much longer. Certainly Kovacic. I'd be staggered if he stayed here past next season. And even Kevin De Bruyne. Not as soon as Kovacic, but long term. So, and then also consider we haven't replaced Gundogan. So we do need these bodies. And again, the thing with Paquetá is he can play 4 positions. He can play double pivot. He can play the 8-10. He can play on the left. He can play on the right. So he's not always going to play in midfield. I can see some games where he's actually played out on the left. Let's say Grealish is injured, for example. I can definitely see Paquetá played out wide and used as an option there. And then in the midfield, you have like Rodri, Bruno, whatever. So I do think it is a necessity. Who do you want to win the league outside City? Oh, God. I suppose the answer is probably Arsenal, because if you had to sort of like do like a tier list, who are City's rivals or whatever, obviously the only real one we have is United, but I guess after that you'd say Liverpool, wouldn't you? Like, in sort of like the historic sense, not what's happened recently, just in the sort of like historical sense. So I guess I probably want Arsenal to win it more, I guess. But the issue is, because I'm obviously a content creator, I deal with a lot of online stuff, and Arsenal fans are, no offense to Arsenal fans, but obviously there are lots of lovely Arsenal fans. But in respect of like summarizing fan bases, from my experience, they're very hard to deal with. And that's without winning a title in 20 years. So it would be hell, but it's going to be hell either way, to be honest. It's lose-lose either way. It's lose-lose either way. Yeah, well, again, if Bernardo doesn't leave, then that changes everything. But in my head, he's leaving. This has got to be the season, surely, with an actual release clause. Oscar Bob's definitely got a place in his squad, 100%. Yeah, fair, Zelda. Liverpool fans would converse the argument Pep's check manager would be debunked if Arteta wins. Look, it's interesting either way. It's an interesting scenario either way. Again, I don't want it to... If you're an Arsenal fan, please don't take offense to what I said, that every single fan base has got insufferable people. I'm being very generic here, and I'm just saying that in my experience, in the online world, again, being very generic here, Arsenal fans are one of the most insufferable. I'm not saying all Arsenal fans, obviously, of course, are very insufferable City fans, I'm sure. I personally don't see them, but that's because, maybe it's because I'm biased, whatever. But, yeah. But then again, Liverpool fans, United fans as well. Like, imagine if United were doing good. Think of how bad they are now. Like, if they get a win against a top side, how bad they are now. Think about if they actually won something of note in the modern Twitter era. What we're going to do with Savio and Claudio. I don't know who Claudio... Oh, is that Argentinian guy was saying? Well, he's very young, so I imagine we'll send him out on loan again. Savio is probably going to be involved in the squad and probably will play quite a bit, I feel like, to be honest with you. Someone mentioned Klopp then, and I sort of want to... We've been going for an hour. We've got over 150 people watching, which is great. Guys, please make sure to leave a like on the video. That really helps. If you guys like the video, what you are doing is you are telling YouTube that other people should watch this stream. So if you like the video, long term we'll get more viewers, basically. If I get more viewers, then I get more exposure. Ultimately, I get more funding. That means I can do more streams, I can do more content, I can pay my mortgage and eat food. So, you know, cost of living crisis. Leave a like. Help out your boy. It's free as well. Yeah, the Klopp situation. Keep your questions coming in, by the way, because this is a Q&A stream. And the whole point of this is it's a back and forth. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the Touchline Talks. Thoughts on the thumbnail, by the way. I don't know what the thumbnail should be for Touchline Talk. I haven't quite figured out what the template should be, but I like the new style where it's my face and De Bruyne's face. I don't know. Because I think it was on the overlap. It was like a clip. You know, like the overlap with Gary Neville and Carragher, and they had like a lot of fans. You know, for like City fan, United fan, blah, blah. And it was sort of like a hold up a paddle thingy. And it was like, you know, do you agree or disagree with the statement? Maybe you guys have seen the clip. And the statement was, is that Connor? Watch this space, by the way, guys. Connor is a Chelsea fan, and we are going to be doing some content together. I don't know how comfortable Connor is in front of a camera, but I'd maybe like to get Connor on a live show for a Chelsea video. He's very good tactical videos. I think he's got a degree in football analysis, so it'll be interesting to chat to Connor about that. Thumbnail maybe clip. Yeah. Anyway, back to what I was saying. Yeah, the question was, I think, which manager, or rather who, has had a greater influence on British football or English football, Guardiola or Fergie, I think was the question. Or maybe the question was Guardiola's had the greatest influence on British football. Do you agree or do you disagree? Obviously the answer is yes. There is no manager who can even touch what Guardiola's done in respect of influence and impact. There are non-league teams trying to play like Pep City. It's not even a question, really, as I say, in respect of influence and impact. And I saw someone sort of like take it in a more broad sense. And they said, and they were just talking about, I think they were just talking about who is the better manager, or maybe they were still talking on the influence points. And they said, and Will raises an interesting point here, which I'm about to get into. Will's read my mind. This person said, as a coach, it's Pep, but as a manager, it's Fergie. And that was I've always seen that argument. I have some sympathy with it, because Pep did not do what Fergie did in terms of, like, you know, like Fergie was, I mean, it's in the name. Pep coaches the team. Pep, you know, suggests players, whatever, but he is not dictating behind the scenes to the same extent and doesn't manage to the same extent as what Fergie did. So that was what this person's argument was. And I apologize, because it is someone who I follow on Twitter, and I can't recall who it was, but they raised a point which I never even really considered before, and I'm about to parrot, and Will sort of touched on it here. If you want to go down that line of thinking, re the distinction and the delineation between manager and coach, then actually Fergie isn't the most influential manager in Premier League history or British football history or whatever. It is Arsene Wenger. Because if the point is, well, Fergie did more than Pep, he had more of a responsibility and role outside of just the coaching, therefore Fergie was actually more impactful and influential. Wenger did far more than Fergie. Like, I don't remember Fergie being a scout for United as Wenger was for Arsenal. I don't remember Fergie being a director of football for United in the same way that Wenger was for Arsenal. Wenger did basically everything. You get me? So again, if we are going down that line of thinking, then you've actually got to say that Fergie is neither the most influential or impactful coach or manager. Certainly not the most impactful coach. That's given to Guardiola by definition. And as I say, if you want to make a distinction with manager, then the answer is actually Wenger, which I never really thought about before. But it's an interesting thought experiment. So yeah, if can we prove these arguments? No, it's well documented the role that Wenger took at Arsenal. Again, he was. There's a reason why people thought that Arsenal stood for Arsene Wenger. He did literally everything. Again, he was the director of football. He was a scout. He was the nutritionist. He was everything. He was everything at that club. He was involved in the finances as well. Literally everything. He certainly much more than what Fergie did and what Pep did. So again, if it's a question of managing and doing everything, then the answer is Wenger. If we're talking about impact in respect of like tactics and coach and philosophy, the only answer is Pep. And I wasn't able to watch the whole. I'm not. No, whoa. There's no disrespect here. There's no disrespect here. No. No. There is no disrespect. But the reality is that Pep's a better coach, better tactician, and the reality is that Wenger did more at Arsenal than Fergie did at United. I'm just making the point that if we're making the distinction between the two, then let's make that distinction and let's follow it through to the end. That's all I'm saying. Degree performance analysis, that is sick. Don't think equipment. Okay, yeah. I don't want to rush you then. If you can't do it yet, then that's absolutely fine. But yes, watch this space in the future. When Pep realised Arteta wasn't going to attack, do you think he should have subbed Kovacic and played Foden and De Bruyne together in midfield? I mean, Foden and De Bruyne did play together in midfield. For me, the main issue was, from midfield perspective, was we didn't get the ball into them quickly enough. That was the main issue. Pep's influenced British football and world football. Wenger brought professional lifestyle changes. Fergie is known for management. Yes, there's that as well. 100%. Yeah. Fergie used to fly abroad to watch plays. Sure, but certainly not to the same degree or extent as Arsene did, who was literally the scout, the director of football, the everything at that club. If Pep was English, then so-called channel owners in the stream people would not say a word for him. Yes. I think it was a tryhard. Nobody can name Fergie's signature formation or tactics because he nicked all his opponent's tactics. He's better placed to overcome. Look, Fergie clearly did have like tactical instructions. Otherwise, the teams wouldn't have worked. It wasn't all just individual quality, but certainly to the extent of like the modern day, sure, it is chalk and cheese. I've not watched it yet, Puneet. I've no idea if it's good or not. Yeah, I'm sure you can get a free trial, mate. What about who's the better whole package? Then it's obviously Wenger. Fergie didn't even show a transition. Yeah, well, that's a good point as well. Favorite United player, Mainu. He's the only one I have been jealous of since Robin van Persie in 2012. Lorenzo says we need to do better business in the summer. I think we will. I think that we will bring in like 2, 3, 4 first teamers. I think there'll be a pretty large amount of incomings. That's what's going to happen, definitely. We all know company's best manager is Colin. Big up. I don't know nearly enough about Paisley or Shankly outside of the honours that they won. So I'm not going to. I can't comment on them as much as I would maybe like to do so. I think I've sort of touched on the main topics I wanted to. So I think for the remainder of this stream, maybe for like the next sort of 15 minutes or so, we can just like have questions from you guys and the sort of like the back and forth situation. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I've covered everything I'd like to. Yeah, we touched on De Bruyne and like how he could maybe be used a bit better. Touched on like, you know, the Man City criticism in the context of the Arsenal game. Touched on Pep versus Fergie and even summer transfers. So yeah, guys, if there's anything specific you would like me to touch on now, what the hell is that on my arm? I thought it was a fly on my arm. Goodness me. Massive photon, brilliant. Is Docker really that good? He will be. We talked about it last stream. Wingers under Pep at City need some time. Listen to Baby Nobbins. Like the video or you're a fraud. Hope you guys are enjoying the little Nobbins pop-ups, by the way. If you guys are here for the Arsenal one, when we get super chats, he also pops up. And I dance with Evie, so hopefully you enjoy that as well. Dogi, better options there for sure. I don't think there is a buyback clause. I don't really want him, to be fair. Again, there's better options in my opinion. Hello, Justin. Problem with some window is we need players to hit the ground running. We do, and that's what I'm saying. Like the past few summers, since like 2017, we've not had a window where we've signed sort of like 2 to 3 immediate first teamers who improve the first team. The closest I can think of was probably the summer where we bought Cancelo and Rodri, but they were not good in their first season, or weren't ideal in their first season. And they did not come in and immediately improve the team. I'm just going to fact check myself there, but I'm pretty sure that's correct. Give me a second, guys. Let me just get up Man City's transfers. In my head, it's like we've signed 1, maybe 2 absolute maximum players to improve. I want all transfers, please. Thank you. Yes, so what is this language? Hello? Zuganji? What language have you given me it in? I don't know if anyone could figure out what that looked German. Zuganji means something. It means transfers and something. Right. Anyway, what was I doing? Right. Yes. So this summer, Gvardiol, who I do think comes in and improves the team, but the other players, Nunes, project player. You could even say Gvardiol, project player. Doku, project player. Kovacic, short-term stopgap. So no real like proper first teamers in the most recent transfer window. The one before that, Haaland, yes, that's the one. Calvin Phillips, no, he it didn't work. He was going to be a squad player. Akanji turned into a first teamer, but let's be real, squad player. Big up Staffy, how you doing, mate? So again, really only one like proper out and out starter. Yes, in the 22-23 window. Next window, it was Jack Grealish, Alvarez. Alvarez, project player, squad player. Grealish, again, one player there. 2020-2021, Ferran Torres, Ake, Diaz. Ferran, project player. Ake, squad player, who turned into a very good player. Ruben Diaz, yes, that's the one. Again, one proper starter there. 1920, Angelino, we all know what happened there. João Cancelo and Rodri. On the surface, that looks like 2 proper starters, but they weren't. They need a season to embed. They were not ready made. So you could say at maximum 2 starters there. 18-19. Thank you so much for that incredibly generous super chat, Sanjeet. Madrid playing a new formation with no winger. Yes. I will be very interested to see how they set up next season when Mbappe comes in. You would think that Mbappe would go more central. Vinicius would go back out to the wings. Be interested to see how that would impact Bellingham's positioning. I suspect Bellingham will go more to an 8 than a 10, but we shall see. Thank you so much for that super chat, Sanjay. Incredibly generous. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed the Ronaldo. I know Staffy would have done. Yeah, 18-19. One proper starter in Mahrez. And that's so what I said is correct. Absolute maximum 2 starters. And again, they were players who weren't ready to hit the ground running. The last time we had that was 17-18. Laporte, Mendy, Walker, Bernardo Silva, Ederson. 5 players there who were just ready. And I know Bernardo Silva, he was good in his, it was much better in his second season, but first season he was still good. He was still ready. He was still ready to go. So the 17-18 season was the last time where we had signings of more than 2 proper ready-to-go starters. So it's been 7 years. So I'm really convinced this is going to be a big window for Man City with at least 3 ready to go starters. Boom. Bruno, Paquetá, fullback, winger. At least. I think there's going to be 4. Again, it's going to be similar to 17, 18. It's going to be a very different look squad. That's what all the in the knows are saying as well. That's what the dynamics of the squad says as well. Isn't it crazy? Most people predicted Burnley would be in the top 10. Why Burnley been so disappointing? I've not watched enough Burnley, but I think it's mainly just due to the fact that company's a new manager and he's got limited resources. I don't think Burnley should be sacking their manager because he might get them promotion again next season. Doku or Sterling? What right now? Doku, but general Raheem, the dream. Can see Paquetá join you in the summer and being unbelievable. Yeah, 100%, Connor. Totally agree with that. Went Brussels and watched him at Anderlecht. Who's that, Minerals? Do I watch Big Steve? I do not. I don't watch much YouTube, to be fair, because I'm not too busy for it. I've met Big Steve though very briefly in Istanbul when I went to the Champions League final. What formation types would you like to see Pep experiment with in the future? I don't know, but next season I want to see the final form of this current one where we've got the fullback out wide, but an attacking fullback, i.e., you know, Alphonso Davies mold of player. I've not DJ, but I can do. Hello, Justin. He did True Dogs, but I don't think he was designed to be a starter. Do you see what I mean there? Nobbiola, indeed. I look better bold, thank you, mate. Yes, of course, Steve. Yes, when anyone super chats over I don't know what the currency conversion is, but I've set it so it's over £10. That happens. If it's more than 2, then I go bald. And Evie pops up. Buy and raid. I don't know what that means, Stacko. Nobbins, have you realised that your theory about the best team winning a competition doesn't hold up this season? But it does. Because Liverpool have been better than us. So I don't know what that means, Carlos. I don't know what that means. Best team always wins the league title. That's not something you can argue against. Tonali, nah. Nah. No, I've got other ideas. Well, right now, Carlos says, hey, look, if they finish ahead of us, then yes, they are better than us. That's how it works. We'll have to see come the end of the season. Not everyone's played everyone yet. Who knows? City might win. They won't. City might win. They won't. Thank you so much, True Dogs, for the super chat. Very generous of you. You saw the dancing Evie, I'm sure. I love your content. Thank you so much, True Dogs. When you are the #1 team, it's very hard to bring players who are starters right away. Can we name another team that has? But that's the thing, True Dogs. As it stands, we aren't the #1 team. We're the #3 team. And if we also think about, we were talking about Fergie earlier. Why was Fergie able to be so successful over such a long period of time? How was he able to continue winning? It's because when he was winning, he improved the squad. And he brought in fresh blood. And he brought in new starters. Even though he already had a very good squad, he brought in more players. That is how you stay on top. That is how you win league titles. When you are on top, you don't. When you're on top, you don't stay stagnant. You need to improve. Because if you are staying still, you're actually moving back. Because everyone else around you is moving forwards to try to catch up with you. So you need to be in a constant state of trying to move forwards if you want to lead the pack. So definitely, that's something that we need to do. Keep going. But again, we're not actually the best as things stand. We're currently 3rd best. Maybe that changes at the end of the season. But as things stand, the league table as of, the 3rd of April, 2024, we ain't even the 2nd best team. So, yes, thank you so much for your super chat, True Dogs. And again, this squad clearly needs a shake. I'll repeat the players who were probably going to go in the summer. Sergio Gomez, Bernardo Silva, Calvin Phillips, Cancelo, at least. Think about the players who might not be here long term. Kovacic, maybe Nunes, certainly De Bruyne in a few years. So we do need Kyle Walker. There's been links to Saudi Arabia, for example. He might leave in the summer, or if he doesn't leave in the summer, probably the season after. So 100%, we need. It has to happen now. It has to happen now, and the squad is ripe for it. And this has been backed up by people who know much more about the inner workings of City than I. They've said that we're going to apparently be going for some big names, not projects, not stopgaps, some names. See Pep experiment with the 2-3-5, says Taylor. Yeah, for me, it's going to be the full-back situation. Best teams win league most of the time, but there's certain years where it's like a point difference and a few repetitions that are dodgy. You can't name one season where the best team's not won it. Against 38 games. 38 games. Better than City, I agree, but Arsenal have been the best team in the Premier League this year. The final table will tell us, Carlos. The final table will tell us if they've been the best side or not. Good morning, Eric. How are you doing? Brett, shut up. Yeah, lots of people said a lot of good things about Diamande. A lot of people said a lot of good things. I think the era of Leroy Sané is gone. We need to look past him, personally. Rico Lewis could be ready for full-time starter. He's definitely got a place in the squad. There is no doubting that. Right, guys, we've been live for around 90 minutes. I think we're going to wrap up the stream in the next 5 minutes. Just make it a clean 90. So if you guys have got any final thoughts or comments for me, again, thank you guys. Thank you so much to True Dogs and to Sanjeet for the incredibly generous super chats. Thank you so much for supporting me. We've been averaging like over 100 people on this stream. Please make sure to leave a like on the video. Don't know how many likes we're at. If we could get close to around, 100-ish likes, that would be fantastic. And again, if you're watching on the replay, leave a comment. Do you want maybe like a Friday at 7 p.m. evening show where it's like another solo stream with just you and I? Eventually, we will be adding streams with other people, whether that's whether that's another City fan in LB, whether it's a rival fan in Tom Little. And if you don't like streams or you're concerned that it will take away from the video content, don't worry about that. I don't have any intentions of moving away from the tactical analysis videos. They will be staying here for good because I know how much you guys enjoy them. I've not seen nearly enough of Callum Doyle. Is Callum Doyle is the defender? Yes. He's the is he a fullback? I can't recall. Did he play for Coventry? I see it being very hard for him to get into the side when we've got Gvardiol and Diaz and Stones and Akanji and Ake. It's very, very hard for teams. You've got to be like borderline generational to be an academy player and to break into the City side, like Foden and what Rico Lewis is trying to be. Hashtag Stobbins. Maybe we'll get Staffy on as well. Hashtag Stobbins. No watch along today. I'll be going to the game. If you ever wonder why I'm not live streaming whenever City playing at home, it's because I'll be at the Etihad, so I can't do watch alongs. We'll do a post-mortem tomorrow morning, I'm sure. Rico Lewis is the bollocks. Yeah, I love him. Want him used as Nate. That is definitely him. That is definitely what his position is. I don't think long-term he's a right back, but as you say, the issue... We play Villa, Will, yeah? The issue is that Foden's only just got into the midfield. And we know how brilliant he is. So what are the chances of Rico Lewis being able to stake a claim there? It's very, very hard. He's probably going to be more of a utility player, which there's nothing wrong with that. My take on Hall and Darshall is that we've just got to look. If it gets to the point where it's untenable, then fine. But I'm still seeing enough. I'm still seeing enough contributions from him, even when he doesn't score. Personally, nah. Staffy never gets rejected. Respect. Any final questions, guys, in the last couple of minutes for this Q&A? Again, the support has been fantastic in recent weeks. So good to see you enjoy the live streams. If there's any other creators that you want to see me collaborate with, please let me know. Ideally, they would be more in the mold of, like, they actually want to talk about the tactics. They actually want to talk about the football rather than they're just here for vibes and banter. There's nothing wrong with that. I just don't really want my channel to become that. Personally, I would be more interested as saying people who actually want to discuss the games, the tactics, and be as reasonable and objective as they can be, rather than just sort of like, you know, shouting at the camera and going, "Oh, you're rubbish," and you know, that's a little bit boring. So I've got some people in mind. But if there's anyone, oh, there we go. We need 5 more likes apparently. And considering that, you know, like we're averaging like what just over 100 to get around a like per view is pretty. That's a pretty exceptional conversion rate. Come on, guys. If you haven't liked the video already, what are you doing? Let's get to 100 likes, because that is really that's the ridiculous conversion rate. Oh, there we go. Unreal. Thank you guys so much for that. I really appreciate the support. If you're watching on the replay, try to get to 200 likes. Let's have 100 live, 100 on the replay. That would be lovely. Yeah, we don't want to talk about rubbish and gimmicks. 100%. Look, there's a time and place for banter, obviously. I like to think that we do still have fun on these streams. Like, you know, it's not just me going, "And guys, City played in a flat back four," and you know, I do still like to think it's entertaining, but I don't want it to just be, you know, shouting buzzwords and being a bit silly and not actually adding any value. I always try to think of what is the value of this video? What is the value of this stream? Why would people want to watch this? And of course, you know, entertainment and comedy is a value, but I don't know if that's best suited in that situation. How do you rate Miley and Gordon? Big fans of them. They're good. They're good. I've seen some people say that Miley's better than Mainu. I think it's a bit crazy. Gordon might have a place in the England squad for sure. Especially with the way some of our wings have been performing. Start vlogging when you go to Hungary. I did that. I did that a little bit. Well, no, I did that a lot in past seasons. Did I do it last season or the season before? I don't know if last season was the season where we stopped doing it. I don't know. We did it last season because I remember doing the Brentford defeat. I don't do it anymore because they're boring. They're not fun to do. It's not natural to watch the game and record the game at the same time. I feel like a twat. I felt like a massive arse doing it as well. I don't think anyone was judging me around me because, you know, that's fine. But I was personally judging myself. If I was like watching someone like vlog the game, if I was like in their vicinity, I'd be like, what a dickhead. What are you doing, man? That's how I felt people were doing it. I just didn't enjoy it. And then it was like a rush to get back and edit it and upload it the day of. And they were all very samey. I was like, again, just back to that value conversation. What is the value of a match day vlog? And I was thinking about it. And I was like, I actually don't know. I don't know why people are watching this. I didn't even know if people were enjoying it. I didn't want my channel to be associated with that personally. If you want to do vlogs, not an issue. You guys do you, obviously. But that is not... It's not what I want this channel to be. I want it to be more focused on analysis and tactics rather than that. Rather watch the game than get your camera. Yeah, and again, it's so unnatural and so unenjoyable, and it made it harder for me to analyze the game and actually have an opinion on it because I was too busy panicking about getting my phone out and clicking record in case there was an attack. And normally, like, again, because I'm trying to enjoy it, I'd miss some of the build up to a goal. So sometimes I'd just be recording the celebration. It's like, oh, this isn't fun. Yeah. Again, there is a time and place for vlogs. If people like vlogs, if you want to do vlogs, not having a go. I personally don't want that to be what my channel is. Again, not having a go. People can do whatever they want. Marlon's a better main, but he's 17 playing next to Bruno, who's the main of Newcastle. Different player to main. Look, and good luck to him. We need more players like him. Certainly. Do a half. Look, Ben, we do watch-alongs, mate. We do watch-alongs. Outside of the Premier League home games, we do those. So make sure to join us for those. Guys, I'm going to head off now because we've been live for like 90 minutes. I don't know if this is going to work. No, it's not. If you're not following my Twitch, I need to add that as a command. If you're not following my Twitch, what are you doing? I stream more on Twitch than YouTube. We stream gaming stuff on YouTube, on Twitch. Football Manager, pro clubs, etc., etc. So if you aren't already following the Twitch, it's the exact same as the YouTube. It's just LNobbins. The link is in the link is in every single video description. Go follow me over there. Because I'm telling you to. This isn't a request. It is an imperative command. Go do it now. Yeah, we do watch-alongs over there. Well, we do watch-alongs at the same time on Twitch and YouTube, but it's more gaming. It's also a very different vibe on the Twitch. Here, I feel like it's more analytical, tactical, which is fine. If you want more of a chilled-out chat, we still talk about football, obviously, but if you want a more chilled-out chat, where it's like, we're more like, as I say, it's more like banter and friendly chit-chat, and you just like want to watch me be crap at Football Manager, the Twitch is for you. Until then, guys, until then, I don't know why I'm saying until then, I haven't told you when I'm next live. It's probably tomorrow morning, to be honest. I doubt it may be late this evening, for an Aston Villa post-mortem. Depending on what time I get back, depending on how cheeky I feel, we're either going to have a post-mortem for the Villa game late tonight or early tomorrow morning. So get your notifications on. Click that little bell so you know when Nobbins goes live, you get a notification. Right, I can lock in and tune in. It'll either be late this evening or tomorrow morning. Haven't decided. That's why I need to click the bell. No, KDB's not finished, by the way. It just needs to be used better and maybe even given a rest. Until then, guys, again, thank you for support. Over 100 likes on a stream which is average over 100 viewers. Wednesday morning. Brilliant stuff. Again, final time, get in the comments. Do you want to see a Friday evening stream, solo stream as well? Yeah, around 7 p.m. Let me know. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Go follow Twitch. Stay updated. Click the bell. Thank you for following the Twitch Strasbourg Steve.